talking about the writing process. If you are wanting to take your content up a notch, you need to understand what's going to go into the writing process so that you can produce really high quality content. I like to teach that the writing process essentially has 5 parts: brainstorming, research, drafting, editing, and proofreading. For the brainstorming process, you have to think beyond, okay, what am I going to talk about today, right? You have to start thinking about who you're talking to, what's the purpose of the message that you're sending, how do you want it to be received. You have to brainstorm lots of different elements to create essentially a brief for yourself, right? So the brainstorming process isn't just about what's my topic, it's about how do I craft this to create something meaningful and effective. I highly suggest pulling up like a Google Sheet or an Excel sheet and putting all of that information in there. Try and come up with as many questions as you can think of about your content, about the topic that you're working on, and just try to answer them organically. Take a few minutes to just be thinking from the audience perspective, thinking from your perspective, and that's going to help you to remember all of those tiny details that are really important, but that you're going to forget when you get focused on the actual topic and the information itself. So once you've brainstormed and you're ready to go, it's time to think about research. Research is the number one skill that writers need to have. Research is what allows us as writers to be chameleons, to step into any industry and learn everything that there is to know and repeat it out in a way that is easier for people to understand and digest. You have to put that effort into your research. Now, some people will hold off on the research and save it for after they've already drafted, after they've already written the piece, but that's not research, that's fact checking, okay? And there's a really big difference. Fact check is, double checking the things that you've included in there already, but research allows you to make sure that your perspective is accurate, to make sure that you aren't forgetting any details that are really important, that are going to be essential to people processing the information that you're getting ready to share. So you have to take some time to do your research. Even if you don't include all of the information that you gather, that's okay. It all goes behind the scenes to help make the work that you create more palatable. In my mind, outlining your piece should be on the same stage as research. Within your outline, you can take your research and fill in the gaps and figure out what areas are going to need more meat. So a great way to create an outline is to just open up a Word document and put in your introduction and conclusion, but don't touch it. Don't do anything with your intro and conclusion. That should come at the very end, okay? Then list out the sections of the piece that you're working on, then place your research and the information, the statistics, the facts that you've gathered within the sections. It's really helpful to see it all laid out like that because you can check out the organization before you get started writing, and you can know, I have too much information up here, it's too top heavy, I need to shift it around and spread this out evenly. Or I can't refer to this information yet because I haven't touched on this yet. So you can reorganize your information and the facts that you're sharing and make sure that it all works together really well. Okay, so you've brainstormed, your research is done, you've got an outline that's based in research, and you get to move on to the drafting stage. Once again, do not touch your introduction and conclusion. Stop it. Stop touching it right now. That again will come at the very end. Jump into the meat of what you're trying to say and make sure that that gets all out on the page. All right. And the best way to do that is to set a timer for yourself, set it for 10 minutes, and just brain dump, info dump everything that's on your mind. Get it all out. It does not have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be organized. Doesn't even have to be spelled correctly. Just get it all out of your brain and onto the paper. Now, this is where you're going to go back to that Excel spreadsheet or that Google sheet that we talked about, where you address, the audience and the purpose and all of that. That's where you can compare the draft that you've created with all of those elements. So you can fill in the blanks and make sure that you are hitting all the right notes. Now your draft is complete. At this stage, it should look like trash on purpose. You've just brain dumped everything. It is complete garbage, and that's okay. Next, you're going to shift into the editing phase. I think a lot of people believe that editing is proofreading. They kind of confuse those two, but the editing process is really like diving into the nitty gritty of the words, sentences, paragraphs, and shifting things around, playing with it, and making it sound good. All right, so this is where you're gonna start playing with your draft and make it sound the way that it needs to. Honestly, this is the stage where I would go back in and work on your introduction and conclusion. After you have edited the rest of your piece, then you go back and create the intro and conclusion and edit that, because those two things should reflect what's already set in stone in the center. The introduction should be literally introducing everything that you're about to cover, and the conclusion should be reflecting on everything that you have covered. Even if they don't specifically state that, you can still tell the difference between an introduction that was written before you had any idea of what was going on in the piece and an introduction that was written after that has a comprehensive understanding of what people are about to uncover. All right, so you've brainstormed, you've researched, you've drafted, you've edited, and now it's time to proofread. Again, a lot of people confuse editing and proofreading, and they feel like those two things should be done in the same step. Absolutely not. Okay, proofreading needs to be done with fresh eyes. Step away for a few minutes and then come back. Another really helpful tip is to read from the bottom up to the top of your paper, because you're looking for any errors, you're looking for punctuation, you're looking for misspellings, you're looking for grammatical errors. I really suggest using AI tools like Grammarly for this if you're not as comfortable with proofreading and knowing all of those rules. Just know that tools like that aren't always correct, so you're going to want to double check if something seems off to you, or you can talk with a professional editor or copy editor to review your work before it goes out. That's a really great way to make sure that the things that you're producing for your website or for social media come out really clean. If you are trying to create more content and better content for your business, you might be thinking at this point, wow, that's a lot of work. That's a lot more effort than I originally thought was going to go into this. I thought I could just kind of whip it out of my brain and make it work. And I'm not going to lie to you, it is a lot of work, because the things that you create and produce for your audience have value. They have value. So you want to make sure that you are putting as much effort into that value as you can, because the more you put into it, the better your return is going to be. Hit subscribe for more chats on writing with me for your business.